Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denonu, and welcome to the Neo Digital Podcast channel. And with this video here, we're just going to be talking about Batman and the newest Flash related movie news. But also, I'm going to give my opinion on, I guess, what WB is trying to do with their recent movie news and releases and stuff that they got coming up. And just give my hopes for their franchises and stuff. So, just to give you guys a little bit of backstory of where I'm coming from, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I've been reading their comic books ever since I was like a kid back from the 80s. When it comes to DC, I read their stuff off and on. I have the characters that I like: Superman, Batman. Um, a lot of the news and the comic book stories I followed. I guess coming into my adult life, I guess you can say. So I know all of the backstories behind all of the characters and all of that stuff. I haven't followed them as much as I did Marvel, but ever since the mid 90s, I've been following a lot of the DC stuff. Ever since pretty much really the early 90s with the death of Superman. That's what really got me into DC Comics as a whole. So I have all of the backstory and all the knowledge of all the characters and story arcs and all of that stuff. So that aside, with this here, um, I think actually WB is uh, righting the ship, as it were. I mean, it kind of, I never thought I would say this. I know I've been saying it for years on all of my older superhero stuff that I've been doing, but they are, I guess, bringing back Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton for this Flash movie. And I think rumored that the Flash movie, I mean, the Flash's, or one of the Flash's biggest stories is Flashpoint. So everybody knows the story if you know the Flash character at all. It's what's one of the biggest stories that they did leading into the New 52. But it's basically where Flash uh, tries to save his mom and rewrites history, and history becomes more messed up. And then he kind of, has to go back in time and basically stop himself from doing it to kind of right the ship, as it were. And WB, I've been saying to them for years in my videos, say, hey, look, like, y'all need to fix this shit. you know, like, I wasn't a huge fan of Batman v Superman, not at all. Even when it came down to Justice League and how they're portraying Superman, I think the movies are, or at least in Man of Steel's case, I think it was okay. But with Batman v Superman, the story that they were trying to tell was flawed and messed up for whatever different reason you want to throw at it. Whether you want to be like, oh, it's Snyder's vision, or WB doesn't have good writers that know what they're doing. Whatever your reasons are, I don't care. It was messed up. you know, um, if they had balls, they would have stuck to what they were originally going to do and then get it done. I think a lot of the problem is that they've been trying to make a Justice League movie for like the past 15 years. Hell, we'll probably now, given longer than that, maybe 20 years. Um, and they've had so many writers attached to so many scripts and movies that never got made that it's all kind of jumbling together. And I think with the newer stuff, the movies that they did actually make, I think they tried to mimic Marvel too hard and tried to rush it. And it's like, you don't have to mimic Marvel at all, and you don't have to rush it. Just do your own thing. So they kind of messed up. They lost the fans' trust and stuff like that. And it split their fan base. You got people like myself who's like, oh, Justice League is some garbage. Batman v Superman is some garbage. And then you have the other side who, for whatever reason, I don't know if they're newer fans, because I can't see how you like those movies if you're a fan of the characters. But you got the other side of the people who like Snyder's vision. They like Batman killing people for some weird reason. But they none of the movie characters, whether that's Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Jason Momoa, the guy who plays Cyborg, hell, I would say probably the closest ones to the comic book character of all of the WB superheroes and Justice League is Wonder Woman. Outside of Gal Gadot, everybody else is not who they are portraying themselves to be, in the slightest. And that's the problem. It's maybe for moviegoers who don't care, then I don't know why you're seeing this movie to begin with, but, and, to each their own. Maybe they don't care. But if you're a fan of the comic books or a fan of the characters and what they stand for, aka looking at you, Batman not killing people, but it's a huge disappointment. And coming from where I'm coming from, it's like I always look back and it'd be like, you had all of the source material to work with. You had all of the cartoons that they've been making for the past 20 years. Like all they had to do was make a movie version of that, and they would have been fine. They'd be making more money than Marvel right now. But that's beside the case. But with this Flash movie, I think that they're trying to at least somebody up in WB has realized that they fucked up after Justice League. And it's like, look, we still got these properties, but we got to do something with them. You know, Aquaman made over $1 billion. I think Wonder Woman, did Wonder Woman make over $1 billion? I want to say Wonder Woman made that money. It may have made over $1 billion. I can't remember that far as Wonder Woman's gross, but I know Aquaman was a big one. Shazam was kind of hit or miss, but I think they made some money off of it, or it broke even. I don't think that was a complete flop, but I know it probably wasn't as big as what they hoped it to be. But ever since Aquaman hit that $1 billion, it's like, look, you still got all these characters that have the potential to hit that $1 billion mark. Maybe not no more since COVID came out, but you know, COVID had that big, that big movie release. But but if things open up back up again, they can put out another DC movie and possibly make over $1 billion. So you have to do something with these characters. A few months back, I want to say they confirmed that it's like, hey, look, we're getting reshoots done. We're doing the Justice League version, or Snyder's version of Justice League. Okay, cool. I don't care to see that because of how bad Justice League was, but that's cool that you're appealing to those fans who like, that his vision of what he was trying to do. Now, I think if he was, had balls, or they had balls to actually do what he wanted, then I think DC would have been in a great place, because then they could have made like a pseudo Injustice or Earth 2 type WB movie that shows a different take on your characters and stuff like that. That would have been great. Like if they did Injustice in like in a movie form, oh shit, that would have been badass. But they didn't do that. So with Aquaman making over $1 billion, they still got this Flash movie that's been just circling the drain for like I don't know how many years now. It's losing director after director, and I guess they're still committed to making it, since it's still one of their biggest properties, especially with the Flash TV show that's been killing it for the past 2 years. So, and you even had their crossover with the two Flashes actually meeting up and stuff, and that was very cool. A lot of people are into the superhero TV show side of things, so you can kind of bridge all that together. And I think somebody higher up knows that. It's like, look, we can tie in all of these movies, all of these characters, and brand it in a DC multiverse, just like how they do in the comics. And with this movie, with this Flash one, I think they're going to do Flashpoint. And by them getting, let's say, Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, I'm assuming that because Ben Affleck is going to be Batman. He's going to be the Batman that he was in Justice League and Batman v Superman. I'm assuming that Michael Keaton, I mean, they haven't announced anything as far as this article, I don't think. They just pretty much said that they're both going to be in the movie, with Michael Keaton having a smaller role. So I'm going to assume that, let's say if it's Flashpoint, that Michael Keaton is going to be Thomas Wayne, the Batman of the modified history. So where, for those of you who don't know, he's the Batman who wears black and red and carries 2 handguns, and in my opinion, though, I would have given that to Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I think that's the guy's name, the guy from The Walking Dead, Negan. I would have given him that, because he played, I think he was Bruce Wayne's dad in, I want to say it was Batman v Superman. I could be wrong. Maybe no, it couldn't have been the Nolan movies. That was way too far back. Yeah, it had to be. It had to be Batman v Superman. Ben Affleck's dad, as far as the continuity, is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So if Michael Keaton is going to be Thomas Wayne, it's like, nah, I would have cast, Jeffrey D. Morgan, because he actually looks the part, as far as how his face, the scruffy beard and everything. You can easily put him in a bat suit and have him be the picture perfect, Thomas Wayne. That would work. But I think with Michael Keaton, if they're bringing him back, the only reason they would bring him back is because he was Batman. So either they're going to rework him into being, let's say, Thomas Wayne of this alternate, history future, or they may actually bring him back as Batman, as like an older Batman, kind of like what the Flash TV show did with the guy who's been voicing Batman in the cartoons for like the past 20-25 years. I forget what his name is. I should know it, and I'll probably know it as soon as I end the video. But but I know he's played Batman for like the longest time as far as the cartoons and stuff like that. Michael Keaton was the Batman in the first Batman movie, the one that came out, I think it was like '89. And if he's gonna be Batman, then they may do a multiverse kind of sort of thing where it's like, okay, Ben Affleck's the Batman of the regular universe, so to speak, and then let's say if Flash goes to another universe or something, he's gonna be Michael Keaton. That would be really cool. That would be really cool if they did that. Like, I don't know if they can go back and get like the older props and stuff like that, but let's say he meets up with Michael Keaton's Batman and he's driving the 1989 Batmobile. Like, that would be fucking awesome. And he was this, and if he was the same like character, point just like older, that would be fucking awesome. So it's like, I don't know what they're gonna do. They could take the Flash movie either way with Michael Keaton's character. But something else that puzzles me is that if they're bringing back Ben Affleck, because they still got, let me scroll down here to the picture, but they have Robert Pattinson's Batman movie coming out. So if his movie is still coming out, then, because I was assuming that they want a younger Batman to play in multiple movies, kind of like how Marvel does with a lot of their characters. It makes sense. But if they're bringing back Ben Affleck, what I'm hoping for, because I like Ben Affleck a hell of a lot more than Robert Pattinson. He can look the part, he can act the part. Robert Pattinson, from what I hear, people say he's a good actor, but he doesn't look the part. He's not buff enough. He just doesn't look like how Bruce Wayne looks in any way you try to slice it. So I'm not feeling his casting choice, but I would have preferred, what's that guy's name? John Hamm. I mean, if you didn't want to go with Ben Affleck, because I think he has that Bruce Wayne look in the face. But I think with this Robert Pattinson Batman movie, that's going to be the year one version of Batman. So that's going to be like Batman when he first became Batman. It makes sense. But if they're not going to roll him over into the other movies, because if you're bringing back Ben Affleck, then it's like, okay, well, if let's say Ben Affleck's willing to do them, so it's like, well, because I would assume they're out of contract. If Justice League came out and that finished, then they're bringing back all of the Justice League actors and stuff like that. They have to rework and renegotiate new contracts. So if you're bringing back Ben Affleck to do your Snyder Cut movie or whatever, then why have Robert Pattinson? And what I'm guessing is, unless Pattinson is going to be like another Batman from another multiverse, that the Pattinson movie, maybe if they can somehow make it work, I think they can. What I would hope is that the Robert Pattinson movie will be just like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, where it's like, okay, look, here's this prequel Batman movie. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. And then that's going to be Batman's, oh, I remember back in the day, I used to suck. That's going to be Batman's origin movie, essentially. His origin movie, his, first time as Batman. And then you have the character when he grows up, he's Ben Affleck in his 40s. So it makes a whole lot of sense if they do it that way. And that's what I'm hoping. And then you get Ben Affleck to do any future movies with a slightly older Batman, de-age him a little bit with CGI if you have to, or something like that. But that would all depend if they can get Ben Affleck to do future movies and stuff like that. Because I find it very weird that why even bring him back for the Snyder Cut Batman role if your plan is to go with Robert Pattinson in the future? Like they always do in movies and stuff. I mean, unless they're just cool like that and like, oh look, we're remaking this, we're kind of sort of remaking this movie. Let's get Ben Affleck back. Let's waste all of our money to do that. You know, why even do all of that if your goal is you want people to recognize Robert Pattinson as your Batman coming forward, you know, and for future movies and stuff? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I would hope, you know, that they know what they're doing, that that they have a plan. But at least with when it comes to these solo movies like the Robert Pattinson and the Joker movie, I think those are kind of solo outings that they didn't want to tie in. But this Flash movie could be the way to tie in those movies. You can have that Joker movie be just an alternate universe take on the Joker, you know? Just say that's in your universe. You don't even have to reference it and have that be its own thing. If you want to make a sequel with that, you can have this Robert Pattinson either be the same way, a multiversal Batman that's out there, because in the comic books there's thousands of them, or he can be your prequel, you know, younger Ben Affleck character. That could work too. If they wanted to tie in all of their continuities and stuff, Flashpoint is a perfect way to do that, because you can do it just like how they started the New 52. Have, you know, coming out of the Flashpoint movie, have things be different, have history change, and that's why you can explain like, oh look, we can, you know, they can retcon the actions of Justice League out of existence, just like how they do in comics. you know, coming out of the Flashpoint movie, they could be like, oh, you know what? Oh, we never fought Steppenwolf. We got this dark side Gato that we got to deal with, you know, and maybe that's what I'm hoping that, you know, that they're planning, because this Snyder Cut re-release or whatever you want to call it for Justice League, they're not doing this out of the kindness of their heart, because that's not the way businesses work. That's not the way companies work. What they're probably doing is they're using this as an opportunity because fans still love his vision and want to see it, and people been barking up the internet tree about that ever since, you know, he got fired and Justice League came out. But they're probably using this publicity, because that's what it is, to test the waters. What they want to see is do enough people watch this Snyder Cut, or if nobody watches it, are people going to watch this Robert Pattinson Batman movie? That's what they're probably doing. They're probably waiting to see who watches what, and then coming out of it, they're going to be like, okay, well, do we continue with the Snyder Justice League? You know, Henry Cavill as Superman, Ben Affleck as Batman, and all the rest of them. Or do we kind of rewrite things and rework it and keep Aquaman, keep Shazam, maybe keep Superman if they ever announce that he's still Superman. You know, if they ever make a, you know, sequel to Man of Steel. You know, keep Wonder Woman and just bring in a younger Robert Pattinson and just somehow explain that away, or create a movie where you explain time travel, or you know, if they want to put him in those movies, they have to explain why he's younger and why he's a different Batman, you know. But I'm assuming they're going to do one of those two things. I'm hoping they do the first, you know, keep Robert Pattinson in there. If you want to make a trilogy of movies as like a young Batman type thing, hey, do that. You know, then you can have two franchises on your hands, you know. If his movie is really, really successful, keep that going. You know, you don't have to stop that. You could just be like, hey, look, these is my crime fighting in my early days. You know, make it be what Gotham should have been. You know, they can easily do that too. But what I'm hoping is that they keep Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. They need to keep this Justice League. Like, nobody hated the actors and the characters as far as who plays the parts. You know, the problem was the movies and the storylines that they went with, and that the writing of the scripts. That's what people hated, you know. So they can easily rework this, you know, right the ship, as it were, like I said before, and keep all of this going, and then kickstart their, you know, their movie universe, and just make movies and build off that, just like how Marvel did. And at the end of the day, if you don't have Batman killing people, because that was a big one for me. But if you keep your characters the same way they are in, let's say, the cartoons or the comics, because that's what I think everybody recognizes these characters from. You know, the not really so well. Superman, people recognize him from the older movies. As long as you keep Superman, that Christopher Reeve, Superman the animated series, Justice League cartoon Superman, that hopeful, cheery, good guy, Boy Scout character. If you keep him that way, people will like him. Batman's a little bit of a different story. They have to make him comic book Batman. And I don't mean Batman that once killed somebody way back when. I mean, it's like, no, you have to take from the 90s or the 80s up until the modern day. That's your Batman. And they have to make Ben Affleck that Batman. Now, I'm hoping they can. In Justice League, he wasn't that bad. They didn't give him shit to do besides drive a car and try to commit suicide. But outside of that, if you already have in your history of him being, or him trying to redeem himself over what happened in Batman v Superman, that has to be your Batman. I mean, if you have to have that, okay, fine. But have him be that comic book Batman coming out of that. Have it treated like, kind of like how in the comic books, what they did with Iron Man, with drinking. He had a storybook, you know, or not a storybook, a comic book come out where it was called Demon in a Bottle. That was a real big story for Iron Man. And basically he was about alcoholism and all of the pitfalls that go along with it. And coming out of that story and future stories, because I think that came out, I want to say in the early 80s or the late 70s, one of the two. And coming out of that, it's like, okay, I'm going to quit drinking. Marvel kept that for like 20 years. I want to say until Fear itself came out. And I want to say that was like in the late 2010s. Like maybe like 2008, 2007, 2010, somewhere around in there. And they had him take a drink. But before that, and that was only because he had to, a part of the, you know, to make the story progress. You know, it wasn't that he wanted to drink because he just wanted to drink. It was you know, he had to diminish his character. So he kind of had to do it. If they can do something like that, where it's like, okay, you take that Batman and you make him the redeeming character and keep that redemption arc going to where like, he's like, okay, look, no, coming out of this, I can't kill people, and have it, that be his character, I can get on board with Ben Affleck Batman, you know. But Ben Affleck being Batman was something I was always on board with. I know a lot of people didn't like him when they casted him, but Ben Affleck, to me, I haven't seen a lot of his movies that he's directed, but I've seen a lot of his movies, a lot of his teen romance type movies, and even his movies coming out of Daredevil. And he makes decent action movies. I mean, yeah, they're not the greatest action movies out there, but you know, he can kill a role if he's good at it, you know, or if it's something he wants to do. If he can get wrapped up in the character, he can kill it. And I think he showed that with Batman. I mean, I just didn't like Batman killing people because that's not who Batman is, at least anymore. So, but him being Bruce Wayne, I thought that was done pretty good. I thought he could be a little bit more suave with it, you know, with the character. But for what it was serviceable. You know, I didn't hate it as much as I did. Because I want to say Christian Bale's Batman, just to touch on him a little bit. I think he had a good blend of, he was a good Bruce Wayne and he was a good Batman in that universe. But if I had to compare him to the comic books, he wasn't a good Batman. But they did show him doing Batman stuff like detective work and figuring puzzles out and all of that stuff. I just couldn't get behind the voice and all of that bullshit, you know. I thought that was kind of stupid. I hated how they made Ben Affleck do it with the voice modulator and Batman, Superman, and Justice League. It's like, come on, man, that's stupid. You just talk, you know, lower your voice a little bit. You don't have to, you know, do all of that bullshit. But hey, you know, it is what it is. But I think WB can actually get things right. It seems like they're, you know, on the right track. I just hope that, you know, things happen. Because with this Flash movie, I mean, hell, it's like New Mutants at this point. It's like, I'll believe it when I see it and when I sit down in the theaters and watch it. Because I don't believe nothing they say about it. Because it can be it can, 2 months from now, they'd be like, oh, well, guess what? Flash movie has a new director, whole new story we're doing. It's like, you know. So I'll believe it when I see it, but uh, hopefully this is some good news. And hopefully they can, get their shit together, YouTube. As comic book fans, I'm sure we all want, them to push out good movies. I mean, at the end of the day, push out good movies, keep the characters like how they are in the mediums that they come from. And, people like myself, hell, we'll watch the movie 10 different times. I can't tell you how many times I've seen an Avengers movie. you know, it's just, we're the people you want to pander to, not the other people who just want to go see the movie one time and that's it. So, I'm hoping they can get their stuff together. I'm hoping they can move forward and somehow plan a movie verse out of the fuck ups that they did. And I'm hoping they can do it pretty quick, because if COVID is anything, movie theaters may not be a thing no more. So, I mean, they may have to make a digital distribution a full-time thing and somehow make that work. Well, I guess every movie developer has to make that work now, but anyways, if you guys want to hear me talk about other superhero movies or other comic book characters in general, just to stay on topic with things, let me know down in the comments below. I read all kinds of comic books, even if they're indie comic books or stuff outside of Marvel and DC. So just let me know if you want me to talk about anything specific about comic books or even about other things, other topics. And I'm pretty sure I can probably get Jolly in on a few of these commentary videos too, if you guys want us to talk about, other specific things and stuff like that. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.